Tectone made a video about your tweet. When did that happen? Why weren't the authorities notified? You know what's so funny? I put out that tweet and it ended up getting a lot of traction. And then I was like, huh, that's so weird that Tectone didn't say anything, because usually this is something he would. I didn't realize he had a video cooking. He had a video cooking. I really didn't want to get derailed at the beginning of stream, man. But I feel like I have to address the bald bitch in the room. I feel like I'm the only one that can talk about Tectone in that way and like not get completely obliterated. Do you know what I mean? I have like the gay card pass where I could like be super unhinged, and then everyone's like, it's okay, he's just like a funny guy. Just like a funny guy. He posted on his Tectone Clips channel. Oh, he has a second one? Like, is it owned by him? Is it this one? Oh god. At least he didn't put my face in it, you know? Like, you know when YouTubers use like the ugliest fucking photo of someone? I don't know why that's a trend. Thank God. Okay, wait, before I get into this, because this will probably go on my own Clips and Reacts channel, so for anyone on the YouTube, hi, hello. We're about to get real deep into this Tectone video. It's only 6 minutes, so I'm going to pull a Tectone to make it 12 somehow. But before we get into this, I want to state this horse. I don't know what he said. I've not watched this. I didn't even know he talked about me until someone in chat told me. You guys know my opinions on Tectone. Listen, there's a lot that he's done, a lot that he says that I don't agree with. Do I think, like, he deserves death, like so many people on Twitter say? No, I don't think that about really anybody. Do I think the community gets baited by him a lot? Yes. Am I getting baited right now? Probably. But I said this when I finished the Star Rail story and before I put out this tweet. I think I come from a very biased perspective on the Honkai Star Wars story because of how connected I am to Genshin. And I literally said to my chat, and they can vouch for me, don't lie, chat. But I said, like, I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much as I did and gave it as high of a rating if I didn't come from Genshin and I wasn't so heavily invested in the Hoyo lore. Like, without that part and without my, like, hyper interest on this stuff taking over, like, I don't know if I would have, like, given it a 10. Right? But for me, it felt like a completely different experience because for me, I'm coming at it from such a different lens where I'm like, oh, this is expanding the like greater Hoyoverse lore for me, which just gives me answers to what the questions I have both in Star Rail, but and in Genshin really, and maybe other games. Like I don't really play any of the other ones. I've tried HA3 for a bit, but gameplay for me, ZZZ, I'm getting back into right now actually on the stream. So if you like ZZZ or you want to see if it's worth trying, jump on over to Twitch at twitch.tv/SipSipStefen. But I know ZZZ is connected. Like, there are a few things already that are popping up, and I'm like, damn it, another one. I didn't even think there were 3 towers, but somehow the 3rd tower has been hit. And I think acknowledging that bias is important. Because we are all different players, and I think people in gacha don't realize that. Everyone likes to think ratings on story or anything can be completely objective, but they are not. They are inherently opinion. Because, again, we all come from different experiences and also want different things from games and have different interests, right? Like I said, my hyper interest in Genshin and being so connected to its lore fuels my interest in Star Rail, especially with a planet like Emborius. Anyways, Gotcha Smacks at the start of this video, so I already know that I'm probably not gonna like it. Me and Gotcha Smack be beefing. It's not frenemies, it's enemies. It's pure enemies. It's not to the degree where I'm like, oh, this man's my op, but like, if I were to designate an op list, like, he might make top 5. No lovers. No enemies to lovers like me and Hoyo. Oh my god, who runs the Clips and Reacts channel? Could we not get, like, an image that wasn't 3 pixels? What the hell? Tectone, what's your bitrate? What the fuck's going on here?
Bro, she just every single scene, brother. You know what I'm saying? But we look at it.
Wait, I don't got it.
Bro is smacking.
Wait, I don't got it. Are they saying like their expressions? Like the difference between the two characters is like their facial expressions and stuff?
Smacking. Bro is smacking hard.
Hey, bro.
tweet. This has two.
Okay. I even admitted, though, that this reply was funny. I said that this was a really funny reply. I will admit that. Like, 100. Do you know what I mean? I thought that this was like, I was like, you're funny. You're funny as fuck. That's funny. But also, I will say, the black screens and the white screens in Star Rail for 3.2 were not as bad. Like, I don't think having a black screen with text or white screen with text is like the end of the world. There are a lot of games that use that kind of stuff. Can it be done in excess? Yes. Was there one time in 3.2 where I was like, oh, this black screen with white text should have not been a black screen with white text and should have actually shown it? I have said that. But like one time compared to 3.0 where it was like egregious, like it was a lot, is an improvement, right? Oh God, here we go.
2,000 likes.
Yeah, I'm a likable person.
Our story was a 10 out of 10 for me. I'm sorry. The lore and the writing were so good. I've never.
That was a hate crime. That was a hate crime. Fucking excuse me? First of all, I don't even have a lisp. Hello? That was targeted. You know what? I did intro calling him a bald bitch, so it's only fair. He's just trying to match the energy. Fair enough. You know what? Go off. Go off, King. I mean, I'm the one with the 2K like tweet, though.
Never felt so invested in my life.
Oh, he keeps it up, eh? I feel like this is Tectone secretly like his actual voice, and he's just putting on a facade. Like the gay lisp is his default outside of stream.
To Hoyo's story, let alone the greater implication of Emporius. You know what's crazy? How many of y'all think that he's right? Because it's his opinion.
Wait, where is this going? Why does he do this? I feel like he baits his own chat, like, genuinely. I feel like he baits his own chat. He's like, and you think I'm gonna go in on this, man, but I'm not. Like, what? That explains why this video is only 6 minutes.
How many people here think that he's right?
I am right.
His opinion. And his opinion can't be wrong.
Yeah.
Can I tell you why he's wrong about his own opinion?
Oh. Well, they had us in the first half, didn't they? Oh, am I blocking his face? Well, you're welcome. No, I'm kidding. Please. My God, Tectone. Can you not be such a big bitch and take up that much of the fuck-ass screen? Like, now you're fucking up my overlay. Like, I need you to adjust.
Because this dude.
You know what's crazy? I was on top. I mean, just like in real life. Is he about to say he loves me and fuck up my name again for the gazillionth time? Like, Tectone, how can you say you love someone when you can't even fucking say their name correctly? It's literally like 6 letters. Genuinely. We've met in person. We've hugged, bro. The fuck? Yo, it just goes to show that men will really just throw that word around, eh? They'll make you feel so good, make you feel so special. They really just like, I can't.
Own opinion. Because this dude loves Steven. Getting a little bit heated. Because this dude is such a silly Billy.
Yo, he's actually in love with me. Why does he always restrain himself so much? Like, do you think I'm a fragile little thing? Go on, say what you want to say with your chest. I'm not a silly Billy. I'm a silly motherfucker that's gonna fuck you up. Say it. Say it. Did he even do the story? Did Tectone play 3.2? You're so silly. Ew. Bro, like, you're gonna make me blush. Enough.
Brother doesn't even know how to rate something properly based on his own opinion. Where
What do you
I
mean?
have to tell him that his opinion's wrong. All right, so let me ask you a question, guys. Let me ask you a question. What does a 10 out of 10 mean?
What's the mental
What
gymnastics
does a
here?
10 out of 10 mean? A
Like,
10 out of 10 means
perfect.
there are no errors. There are no faults.
I'm gonna be real. If I went on the basis of 10 out of 10 is like literally completely like perfect, I don't think anything would ever reach that. Because like at the end of the day, like humans create stories, like I don't think a 10 out of 10 exists genuinely. If I go by that label of like there is nothing wrong, like not a single instance where I'm like this could have been better, this could have been adjusted. Like I think in art, especially in stories and in writing and in like media, there you could, if you really want to, if you really want to, you can truly find a fault or an adjustment or like something that you would do differently if you wanted to, like in almost anything. It is like just innate of how like art and the medium works, right? So I feel like putting 10 out of 10 at that high of a pedestal of literally perfection, it would just never happen. I would just never give anything a 10 out of 10. So for me, like a 10 out of 10 is truly like the best experience. And although like, yes, there are very minor changes I would make, like I walked out of that experience being like, I don't care about these extremely small and minute things that I would change, because the story and the way it was like crafted and the things talked about, the experience for me was overrode that and then some. Like was so good that by the end of it I was like, none of that even matters. Like I don't even genuinely care because of how much I enjoyed it. I even said to chat, I'm pretty sure this is my first 10 out of 10 in anything that I've played so far from like gacha. I haven't even given one to Genshin yet. I think the closest I've gotten is like 9s in Genshin.
There are no flaws. It is perfection. In Bro's own post, he says, yep, there was definitely slower moments. Yep. Brother.
But like even movies and TV, like they all have that too, right? Like not every story can be like at the climax or at the build 100% of the time, because then also that affects the future climax and the future build. Like if there is no slowdown, if there is no movement, like, and you're always at the climax, then are you really at the climax, or does everything feel like a climax and then water down everything, right? And I think I was admitting, well, I am admitting that, yes, there are slower moments of the story. There are things that, like I said, could be improved. But like I said, it didn't even matter because I was just so shocked the entire time. I obviously could have went into detail more, but like, hello, it's Twitter. There's only so many characters. Listen, if I was throwing 10 out of 10s at everything, I would understand this take. This is like literally one of like the few times.
There were moments that felt like they were slow. It's not a 10 out of 10. It's not. Because that's acknowledging that it should have been faster paced. I think if you sit down and truly understand the concept of Holyverse is expanding upon, you will realize the insane depth they have reached with the Euphorius already. No, they didn't. Too many motherfuckers have never watched any other anime, have never played another game in their fucking life.
Why does he think that I'm this person he's talking about? I'm literally the complete opposite. Well, besides anime, I've never really been into anime, but like that's because I watch like regular like film, television. Like that's where I started with that sense. But when it comes to like video games and stuff, I'm actually not that like new age, like new wave type of player. Like Genshin was a game that I got into by chance, that I like stumbled into from way, way, way before. Me and Tectone, well, we haven't talked about it, but like I've watched him. A lot of the games that he's played, like, and he's talked about that he's liked, even like things like WoW, I've played and come from. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's the gay lisp, and he thinks that because of that, like, I'm not the like typical gamer dude. But like, I've done the thing of like playing Valorant, playing Overwatch, playing League, like less story oriented, more gameplay. I've also like played very story oriented games. But we played through FF, like, what was it, 15, 16, the one with Clive in it. And that is like such a narrative experience. My credentials say otherwise. Like, I know what creates a good story and what doesn't. And that's why I said at the beginning of even this video, if you're watching it there, that like, yes, I do have a bias. I do think if you went into the story as a player that is not playing Genshin and not loving like the Hoyoverse lore to the degree that I like it, that you may not get the same experience that I'm getting. But that's also why it's an opinion, which is why it's crazy that Tectone's trying to die on the hill of your opinion can be wrong. Like it I think your opinion can be wrong if you're having an opinion on something that's factually based. But I'm having an opinion on, at the end of the day, a product, which is not based in fact. It's based in perspective and yourself. So I don't agree with the initial take of your opinion on like a game can even be completely 100% factual. It can't. Like, we all love and like different things.
You cannot look me. Okay, let's pull it up. Oh, we're pulling it up. Boys, I'm crashing out. I'm crashing out already. Yep. Hell no. Hell no.
You have risen to the occasion, Fatima. Merely rewarding you with some honeydew is no longer able to express the extent of our gratitude.
Once again, chat, I would like to express, as she is sitting here talking, look at her face, bro.
But isn't that for a reason? Like, am I insane? But isn't like Aglia's demeanor like literally lore related because she's a woman who's lost her humanity? Like, she is legit detaching in a way. Like, she is eroded. That's why she comes off so like flat and plain and detached, is because it is in like the story and the lore kind of like what they're presenting with what the Saritsa will be, like a god or a titan, flip the word, who has lost all love for her people. I'm trying to relate this to like something IRL. It's kind of like I think is it a mental illness or something, like where you like detach from reality. You become like numb. There's a word for it. I'm Googling it. Depersonalization and derealization disorder. Oh my god, I'm getting a little too woke. That's what it is. It's basically a grander version, I guess you could say, of dissociation.
Let's rewind this back. This bitch is a literal bot.
Trinity. Forget it. Let's talk about this.
It is so, like, look at that.
It's only one of the consequences of civilization development rather than the cause. Okay, we already
Like,
read that.
they want you to read all that?
Listen, I have many opinions about reading in video games to this extent. I have many opinions, and I've said it in Genshin. And I'm going to be honest, I don't even think the things that are here that you need to read are necessary to read. I read them because I'm interested in it, and I wanted to know if, like, I read the first one, if you remember, chat, because I wanted to know, like, are these even fucking worth reading? Which for me, it ended up being worth it because it talked about the political structure, which then made me realize the like connections to like democracy, Rome, American democracy, which made the story again so much more interesting for me. Like, reading that added a whole nother layer into the game with that like initial like political thing, history, I guess, like letter, like truly added a whole nother layer that I enjoyed because I like those kind of stories with like political intrigue and everything. But you could literally click through this and you would have still understood what was going on. Like, it's not necessary. Do I think Star Rail should do a better job of like making that clear? Like, this is optional? Yes. But the letter was interesting, like, when you read it. I don't even read every single one, though. Like, some of them I'll, like, skim if I feel like the information isn't necessary.
Surprise, surprise. Commitments and time allocation.
Is this a quest or is this a fucking quiz?
Facets. To the point. 8
Oh man, that's insane.
to pronunciate her words, saying a whole bunch of nothing.
Oh, yo, chat.
Need to breathe.
Still image held for 5 fucking minutes. Still image held for 5 minutes. Hold up. Another.
I do think that they do rely on the still imagery a bit too much, but it still goes back to my initial point, which is like, what is being said and portrayed and conveyed through the words and through like just the narrative setup, like the narrative structure was enough for me to like look past this stuff. And like, I don't know, like there are other games that like have talked about this kind of thing and have done this political intrigue. You know, even FF16 like has a lot of that. It reminds me a lot of Game of Thrones and everything. Well, it's literally based on that, I'm pretty sure. But I think why, again, and I come from like a biased perspective, but why I gave it a 10 out of 10 is because every like line means something way more to a person like me who is invested in a game like Genshin and the Hoyoverse in general. Again, I don't think I'm the average player. I don't think the average player is invested in the Hoyoverse. I think Hoyoverse wants that. I think they're trying. I think that's their goal, is to eventually get players to be caring about like the greater narrative, but that is obviously not the average player experience. But like, it's my opinion. It's my experience.
Another still image. 2 minutes later, another one. We hold that one for 3 minutes. Wow, man. That's insane. It's fucking psychotic.
To refine my soul when you were ambushed at the grove.
Man, look at these camera angles.
From my perspective, this point alone was enough to separate you from the average
Man. 10 out of
Okay,
10.
but to be fair, I think sometimes there's a lot of like overreaction to this kind of stuff. Like camera angles, yes, are important, but there's a whole other side, which is camera angles can be distracting. Camera angles can also be nonsensical and unnecessary, right? Like there is a balance between like using the camera on purpose for something proper, for something like meaningful, and doing it for the sake of doing it. Jumping the camera around, flipping to some random angle for like just the sake of like having something different on the screen, like that doesn't achieve anything else either. Right? And on top of that, to expect a cinematic level experience from every moment in a video game is just not likely in a live service title like this, because like 3D models, especially in the style of Genshin, cannot achieve the emotional detailing of cinematography and real life human expression. Like, if you understand like film in that nature, like when you have a full punch front focus on a character, like when you're watching TV and you are looking at a human face, like in full zoom, it is truly the most minute of details that portray emotion, thought, like everything. It is literally like the superpower of really good actors is being able to be in a full zoom and one, come off believable, but then also like portray things through just these very small details. And video games, although some can achieve that, thinking like, you know, like The Last of Us and all these kind of games who have very hyper realistic like art styles, I don't think Genshin would be able to achieve that kind of thing. And I don't think really any of the gacha games currently in the 3D space can achieve that. Like, I don't think Wuwa can achieve like that level of like raw and like human emotion within just like minute detailings with even their models. Like it's very difficult, and you would need so much work, and games who operate on a live service of 6 weeks are not going to be able to most likely do that, I'm assuming.
Look at that, bro. You can see bro's back of his head. In one
But this is literally like, this is a common like camera angle as well, IRL. Like an over the shoulder shot like is literally very common in like film and television as well.
what world are you ever going to show a character's back of their head? Let me tell you which one. Ones where their facial expressions don't fucking matter. There's a reason why he
But like that, but they're not showing Anoxa's face because like you're hearing the perspective of like the other character. Like, is there a reason to show Anoxa? Right? Unless the only reason they would want to show Anoxa's face is if his face was conveying something that like needed to be conveyed without being said. But also then, if you wanted to show Anoxa's face and show her face, then the camera angle would have to change completely, and now you're going to like a profile. And like a profile is also very uninteresting. Like two characters just standing like this, right? Like that's also uninteresting. If you want to see both of their like mouths, like there's only so many things you could do, right? They're talking to each other directly.
fucking cut that shit halfway because it ain't worth it. That shit is torture, brother. That shit is torture. Okay? And these people who have a very bad perception of what good entertainment is need to stop weighing in. Okay?
I'm gonna keep
They
weighing.
They need to stop weighing in. All right? I'm going to keep it the truth with y'all. Okay? Outside of Bellabog, HSR has never even hit a 6. Has never even hit a 6 in terms of actual game and actual anime fucking storytelling.
You know, it's interesting because I like hype Bellabog a lot, but honestly with Amphorius, it really made me realize that like, although Bellabog's story is good, like I think Bellabog is a good intro. And it reminds me of Mondstadt. So many people like to shit on Mondstadt now, but I think Bellabog and Mondstadt kind of do the same thing. It's an easy intro. It's not complex. It's not it is very straightforward. Like the twists in Bellabog are literally so like minuscule, right? Like the story plays out very simply and there's nothing that really catches you super off guard, but I think that's why both Genshin and HSR do well in their opening acts because they are an easy step into the world where you don't get thrown around like mentally and you don't have to buy in super hard to enjoy what's happening in front of you. But now with the context of Amphorius, I can say Bellabog is a good story, but it is not like narratively complex. You know? Like, so it's hard to relate them to each other. I think it's good for its simplicity, but Bellabog does not make me think the way Amphorius does. I don't know. Like, I think that's a fair take. Like, I don't feel like it makes me question a lot of things. It just makes me experience what's happening. You know, you get to know some of the characters, you root for certain people, you learn about a lot of the, like, very foundational things of the game, but it doesn't make me stop and think. I think the Xianzhou is a mess. I've always said that. I don't like the Xianzhou. I didn't like it when I first did it, and I didn't even like it when we returned with Fei Xiao. I think, you know, Hoyo has a really hard time of balancing wanting to show off like authentic Chinese culture, which is obviously like very obvious why they want to do that. You know, it's literally the country that the game is like made out of. And they want to like give that experience to global and help people learn more and open their eyes to like, you know, a side of the world that doesn't get like super talked about that much in media. But I think that obviously comes with its own pain points, and sometimes they get lost in the sauce and they get a little too like, you know, like for a global audience at least, it sometimes can become hard to follow, or it can become overly wordy, or they want to introduce so many different characters within the Xianzhou that it's like a revolving door and you don't get enough time with the cast. And the Xianzhou definitely suffered from that, right? It was super small. There wasn't a lot of time to build it. And because characters were coming out like patch to patch at that time, and they didn't go with the let's introduce a big cast from the start and build them throughout the entire series, it was way shorter. That's what occurred. Penacony was a good, like, Penacony is a start that Emphorius has and does not pay off, in my opinion. Like, Penacony is like a we're starting good, and then it starts to feel bad as it goes on longer and longer. And I think that's because they got too much into like the philosophical word vomit from Sunday, and too much into like, you know, like trying to throw off the player and keep you in the dark. But then while doing so, they want to surprise you, and then their surprises and reveals don't end up paying off, or you kind of get like double surprise where you're like, oh, they're dead and they're not. Like, it felt like you lost the stakes pretty early on. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you lost the feeling of, I don't know if everyone's going to make it to the end. I don't know how the story is going to turn out, like, very quickly. And I think that affected the story. I think they were scared to, like, make, like, Sparkle evil. They were scared to, like, impose suffering upon this cast of Penacony characters. And they wanted to paint it with a brushstroke of, but everything in the end ended up okay. And, you know, I think they did a poor job sometimes of, like, explaining dreams. They had to fit a lot of, like, lore, conceptual lore, like, in a very short time period, right? Like, they know, obviously, in Star Rail that they're going to 0.7. But in Penacony, they only go to, what, 0.3, 0.2? Like, they had to explain concepts so much faster. But also, I don't think, okay, I don't know what I would rate the Xianzhou, to be honest. I think I would rate it below a 6. I think a lot of things don't pay off in the Xianzhou, like, at all. Fantilia, although, like, the Tin Young neck snap was like, ooh, girl, like, give us that, like, give us that moment. I feel like they didn't build up Fantilia enough as a baddie, like, as a, like, an op. You could say. I probably sound so Gen Z right now, but like, it's like the villain comes out of nowhere. Do you know what I mean? And I don't like when stories do that. I mean, I'm sure there's stories out there that do it well, but I just felt like it was just like, okay. Yeah, and I agree, the Tin Young red flags were a bit too subtle. I mean, that's why we all got gagged. So I would probably rate the Xianzhou low-key a 4 or 5. I know there's a lot of lore. I know there's a lot of information. Like, if you look into the books of the Xianzhou, there's so much lore, but that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about, like, the main experience. The bare minimum product of the story. And I think exactly. I think it suffers from a lot of the characters in the Xianzhou were clearly built to be long-lasting narratives. And although great, when you look at it in a bubble, in its bubble, it doesn't feel good, in my opinion. And I think they need to learn how to find a balance with characters like that are like going to continue to be developed, but still are able to exist in their small arc or storyline, like, and feel satisfying. Because you have to do that in television, right? Think about shows like Game of Thrones, right? You have a season itself has to feel good. You know, no one's going to keep watching if you have to literally wait for the 8 seasons of a series to finally feel like you get the entirety of something, right? You'll burn out before it. You won't reach it to the end, right? And I think Hoyo needs to obviously learn that balance. And you know, Emphorius, I think, benefits from being a bit more closed, like Bellabog, where the arc feels like it is maybe only going, like, these characters will only exist within this period. Maybe a few will continue on, who knows? But it feels like, you know, this world is like start, finish, here, and there isn't a lot more beyond that. But I think that's why Emphorius feels so good, because for me, they finally hit the balance of developing the general narrative, which they have not been doing. That was my problem with Penacony too. I was like, okay, but how does this matter to anything else? developing that greater narrative of the Stellaron, the Trailblazer, what this all means, why we're doing this, what is going on. Like, why are Himiko, Welt, Donhung, March all, like, important? Why the fuck is the story even being told? Like, they are doing a better job, finally, of doing that story as well as the region together. If that makes sense. Sorry, I've really yapped. This is crazy how long I'm making this video. It's 6 minutes.
Selling. Now, in gacha games, they've probably hit an 8 or a 9. But the problem is, when you have to lower your standards to just gacha games, it's not a good sign, guys. It's not a good look. And it gets a little bit stinky. Baldur's Gate is the only 10 out of 10 game for it. Baldur's Gate's story was fucking nuts. I think Fable was also amazing.
Baldur's Gate's story is good too. Like, I really liked Baldur's Gate's story. But I'm gonna be honest, that game couldn't hold me on. I never even finished a full playthrough. Pokemon is the best story, held my attention the entire way. That's crazy. Honestly, there's barely any Pokemon games that have held my attention the entire way. I think there's only been 2. And if you ask me what the stories were of those games, I wouldn't be able to tell you now. I feel like Pokemon holds my attention because of its gameplay and not its story.
I think Mass Effect was also fucking amazing. I think the Thieves Guild in Oblivion was fantastic. The Dark Brotherhood in Oblivion was fantastic. Good lord. I thought Stray. I thought that was great. Persona 4 Golden was incredible. Persona 5, for what I played, was fucking incredible. Good. Let's keep going here. There's got to be more. Jesus, hold up. Metal Gear Rising was incredible. It was so fucking good. Yeah.
Okay, the problem is a lot of these games, though, their stories exist in closed systems. And I think that's, like, hard to compare to something that is like a live service. A live service game and narrative is way harder to craft than a game that only has 40 hours, or a game that even has 60 hours. Like, and that just is what it is, right? Like, live service games exist for way longer. Your story has to build and grow and continue to develop, not over like 40 hours, not over 60, but we're like approaching like 140, 160, 200 hours. Like, it is very, very, very difficult. That is not something even done that often, and there are plenty of games that have tried and fucking fallen on their face, like World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft has amazing patches that the story's interesting. Like, I loved playing through Legion. I felt like it was so character-focused, so character-driven. But then literally a patch later with, like, BFA, and it's falling on its face. Shadowlands falling on its face. Only to finally pick up a bit in Dragonlands, or whatever the fuck it's called. Like, you know, live service games, like, it is really difficult to keep a story going, like, at that level throughout the whole thing. It's like TV. You know, when you look at something in a season, sure, but, you know, looking at something over years is a way different thing. And, like, I'm sorry, but comparing, like, a good movie versus a good TV series is worlds apart, in my opinion. It's way easier to make a good movie than it is to make a good TV series. Because think about it, a movie's 2 hours. It's way easier to craft a 2-hour moment than it is to craft, like, hundreds of hours and still be interesting and, like, and work all the time. And, like, if you look into TV, there is truly only a handful over hundreds of years, or not hundreds, but, like, over decades that have been able to achieve that exact thing of being a good TV show, start to finish. Look at fucking Riverdale. Oh my god, the baby started floating and the ratings, girl, I left immediately. They started tossing babies into fires and I was gone. All these video games that he's talking about, yes, there are some of them I agree with. They are great narratives. But they also don't do what Star Rail or Genshin do, which is craft a long-term narrative. Like, even games like COD or stuff, or the other stuff that exist in a universe, those games rarely develop to the level that Hoyoverse is developing. Like, I'm sorry, but Hoyoverse is basically approaching, like, Marvel level when it comes to what their world is. you know, and I don't want the comic book people to like lose their goddamn minds. They're different mediums. I get it. But like, that's basically what they're attempting to do with Hoyoverse. Are they doing it to the same fidelity? Maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. We're in the very beginning stages. But that's what they're at the end of the day, that's what they're trying to do. It is a multi-universal world. Although, like, I'm not saying Tectone is completely wrong, though he's completely wrong, of course, because let me be extreme like that, because that's what gets clicks and views. I think he needs to understand those differences of like comparisons. That's not to say you cannot compare. I'm not saying you cannot make any comparison like that. I feel like that's like allowing Hoyo to like run free and criticism free. But I think you also have to understand the nuance and the differences between these games and what they're attempting to do, and keep that in mind.
But like, man, we gotta stop saying this shit is perfect. Like, there's no way somebody sits through 8.5 hours of that quest and says,
to me, it's perfect to me. Like, do I have to be like that girl from Desperate Housewives? Like, that's my opinion. Damn. I need to get that out.
This is amazing. Bro. You guys don't get it. No, you guys are being too negative, guys.
He doesn't get it. I literally put me on. Okay. I'm gonna message him. Bring me on one day on stream. And I will sit you down and I will literally have 10 questions about like Hoyo related greater lore things. And I want to ask Tectone and be like, tell me what this is, what this means, what do you know? Because that's the problem. That's the difference between me and Tectone, right? It's levels of investment into the narrative. And like, that's okay. That's okay. Like, that's fine. It's like how I play Pokemon. Like, I don't play Pokemon for the story. Like, I play Pokemon for the gameplay. Literally, that's it. And that's why I don't like the recent ones, because the gameplay isn't good enough for me to care. And like, maybe for Tectone, like, they only played for the story just isn't doing it for them. Well, I don't know. That's not true. I don't feel like Tectone does play it for the story. There's no way. I feel like you can only play something for the story if you are invested in the lore in that degree. Right? Like, I feel like if you aren't invested into understanding, like deeper, then you can't really say, oh, I'm playing it for the story. So then at that point, you're playing it for the gameplay. Like, you're playing it for, like, other aspects of the game. I mean, we're a bit too crazy about the lore of Hoyo, though, let's be honest. That's true. Everything exists on a spectrum, right? Just like Tectone's own sexuality. Like, the man likes to say he's super straight, but we all know that that version of straight is not 100-0. It is, like, 60-40, leaning towards femboys. And, like Tectone's own sexuality, people's enjoyment of the story exists on a spectrum, like, of the lore, right? But I don't even know if I want to ask him if he thinks, like, what type of player he is. Like, what bucket do you put yourself in for, like, Genshin, Star Rail, whatever? Like, do you count yourself as, like, a story person, and to what degree? Like, I don't know. Because I guess, like, for me, because I'm at that level of liking the story and knowing a lot, like, it is, again, like I said, such a different experience for me.
You guys don't get it. No, dude, I'm telling you. It was peak, bro. No, it was so good, dude. It was so good. Oh, yeah, Detroit Become Human was fucking phenomenal. Detroit Become Human, that is what I consider a 10 out of 10 for storytelling. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't think it's ever going to get better than that. I mean, it was so good. It was so fucking good. First announcement, guys. I'm gay.
I knew it. That's so funny that he included that on a video about me. Like, are you trying to send me a signal? Like, I'm sorry, but the fact that he ended the video with that, and I literally clocked him from day one, I was like, that man likes men. Like, I am right. I am correct. My opinion is the only one that matters. Let me pull an envy line right now.